Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're diving into the disturbing world of cults. Throughout history, these groups have attracted thousands of followers with promises of purpose, community, or enlightenment. But behind the scenes, many of them hid manipulation, abuse, and even death. Some were led by people who claimed to be prophets. Others convinced their followers that the end of the world was coming, and in the most extreme cases, these beliefs led to tragedy. So, without further ado, these are 5 disturbing cults. Number 1. Love Has Won. Founded by Amy Carlson, a woman known to her followers as Mother God, Love Has Won was a controversial spiritual group that gained attention online throughout the 2000s. Members believed Carlson was a divine being who had lived hundreds of past lives and was destined to lead humanity into a new age of enlightenment. As the group grew, former members and family members began making disturbing allegations. Reports described extreme control over followers, isolation from loved ones, sleep deprivation, and pressure to accept Carlson's teachings without question. The cult became international news in 2021 after Carlson was found dead in a Colorado home. Authorities later discovered that her followers had been living with and caring for her body, believing she was still spiritually guiding them. The bizarre circumstances surrounding her death shocked the public and brought renewed attention to the dangers of cults and charismatic leaders. To this day, Love Has Won remains one of the most unusual and disturbing cults to gain a following through the internet. Number 2. Heaven's Gate. Founded in the 1970s by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles, Heaven's Gate was a cult that believed Earth was about to be recycled, and that the only way to survive was to leave their human bodies behind and ascend to a higher existence. Members gave up their families, careers, and possessions to follow the group's teachings. They lived isolated lives and believed that a spacecraft was traveling behind the Hale-Bopp comet, waiting to take them to the next level. In 1997, tragedy struck. 39 members of Heaven's Gate, including Applewhite himself, died in a mass suicide at a mansion in California, believing their souls would board the spacecraft and continue their journey. The event shocked the world and remains one of the most infamous cult tragedies in modern history. Even more unsettling, the cult's website is still online today, preserved by surviving members who continue to spread its message. More than 2 decades later, Heaven's Gate remains one of the most disturbing examples of how powerful belief can become. Number 3. NXIVM. At first glance, NXIVM looked like an ordinary self-help organization. Founded by Keith Raniere in 1998, the group promised personal growth, success, and empowerment through expensive seminars and courses. But behind the scenes, things were far more disturbing. Inside NXIVM was a secret inner circle known as DOS, where women were recruited as slaves under higher-ranking members called masters. Members were pressured to provide embarrassing secrets and personal photos as collateral to ensure obedience. Some followers were kept on strict diets and pressured into doing whatever Raniere demanded. The cult finally began to unravel in 2017 after former members came forward and exposed what was happening behind closed doors. In 2020, Keith Raniere was sentenced to 120 years in prison for crimes including sex trafficking, forced labor, and racketeering. What started as a self-improvement group turned out to be one of the most shocking cult scandals of the 21st century. Number 4. The Manson Family. In the late 1960s, a cult known as the Manson Family shocked the world with a series of brutal murders that would become some of the most infamous crimes in American history. The group was led by Charles Manson, an aspiring musician who preached an apocalyptic race war he called Helter Skelter and convinced his followers that he was their spiritual leader. Before his crimes, Manson actually had connections to the music industry. He befriended Dennis Wilson, the drummer of the Beach Boys, who allowed Manson and several of his followers to stay at his home for a period of time. Manson hoped Wilson would help launch his music career, but their friendship eventually fell apart. As Manson's influence over his followers grew, his teachings became increasingly extreme and paranoid. In 1969, he convinced members of his cult to carry out a series of murders, including the killing of actress Sharon Tate and 4 others in Los Angeles. Although Manson didn't physically commit the murders himself, he was found guilty of orchestrating them and was sentenced to life in prison. To this day, the Manson family remains one of the most notorious cults ever, showing just how dangerous charisma and manipulation can become when taken to the extreme. Number 5. Aum Shinrikyo. Founded in 1984 by Shoko Asahara, Aum Shinrikyo was a Japanese cult that combined elements of Buddhism, Hinduism, and apocalyptic Christianity. Asahara claimed he could levitate, read minds, and even predict the end of the world. Thousands of people joined the cult, believing he possessed supernatural powers. But behind the scenes, Aum Shinrikyo was carrying out dangerous experiments and stockpiling weapons. In 1995, the cult carried out one of the most shocking terrorist attacks in modern history. Members released sarin gas inside the Tokyo subway system during rush hour, killing 14 people and injuring thousands more. The attack sent Japan into panic and led to massive police raids on the cult's compounds. Investigators later uncovered evidence of kidnappings, murders, and secret laboratories used to produce chemical weapons. Shoko Asahara and several high-ranking members were eventually sentenced to death and executed years later. To this day, Aum Shinrikyo remains one of the most dangerous and disturbing cults ever to exist, proving how extreme beliefs can lead to devastating consequences. Number 6. The Branch Davidians. The Branch Davidians were a religious group based near Waco, Texas, that came under the control of a man named David Koresh in the late 1980s. Koresh claimed he was a prophet, chosen by God, and demanded complete obedience from his followers. He controlled many aspects of their lives, separated married couples, and took multiple spiritual wives, including underage girls according to investigators and former members. As his power grew, so did concerns about what was happening inside the group's compound. In 1993, federal agents attempted to search the compound for illegal weapons, leading to a violent confrontation that sparked a 51-day standoff between the Branch Davidians and the FBI. The siege came to a tragic end when a fire engulfed the compound, killing David Koresh and 75 of his followers, including many children. The exact cause of the fire remains debated, but the tragedy shocked the nation and remains one of the most controversial events in modern American history. More than 30 years later, the Waco siege is still discussed as a cautionary tale about extremism, government actions, and the dangers of charismatic leaders. And that's just a glimpse into some of the most disturbing cults in modern history. Each one started with belief and ended in control, manipulation, and tragedy. If you want a part 2 or deeper dives into any of these stories, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. And remember, not everything that looks like truth is safe to follow. Stay aware, and I'll see you in the next one.